Let's talk about directors. I think there is this myth in Hollywood that directors work all the time.
No, 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 no. Yeah, it's like the life of a freelancer. You go from job to job. Sometimes you're really busy, then sometimes you're just not really busy. And you have to get used to that. I actually am used to that kind of life. I've never had a long-term job of any kind. So it's just normal for me.
And I think also what people don't understand that when a director says yes to any project, that's 2, 3, 4, 5 years of his or her life is
Yeah.
there because they start literally working the moment they say yes to a script. And then by the time that movie gets financed, and then by the time you do preparation and shooting and post-production, it's not like, well, here I am. I'm just going to direct a movie and I'm going to be in and out in like 6 weeks, like most actors are.
There's also, I mean, certainly with Trick, my first movie, which was an independent film, very much a labor of love. And it was very much that. I spent almost 4 years developing and looking for money. And then we finally shot it, and then you make it, and then it goes to festivals. So yes, it's years and years and years of your life.
Well, I think the times have changed so much, right? Because before, brands used to be people. Look at Lizzie McGuire and how you got her to do the Lizzie McGuire movie. She was a brand. What people are not seeing that right now, brands are niches,
Yeah.
is trying to cater to a certain niche, and that niche is getting bigger and bigger, people.
Yeah.
And therefore, if you know how to play your cards right, you can really leverage the brand of the niche versus the brand of the celebrity and the person.
I'm proud of that movie because it was, it was for Disney. It wasn't an indie movie from my heart, but so much of my heart is in that movie. And I was fortunate that the studio let me make the movie. And when I say let me, I guess they were just agreeing with what I was doing and thought I was the right guy for the job. And it turned out great. And you know what? One of the nicest things is, the movie came out and did really well, right? But they were all, 9-year-old, 10-year-old kids. So I never got to like, an independent film, you get to go to film festivals, you get Q&As, you get to hear people tell you how much they love it. Lizzie goes out into the world and it did well, but I never got to really hear it. But now, 18 years later, all those kids are now 20 something and they all have podcasts and they all have, I've done screenings of Lizzie McGuire, and the fans are ravenous for that movie.
If there's something that is so important that I've seen, like you said, movies or TV shows are collaborative efforts.
Totally.
And people need to check their egos at the door, because when you're on set, you want a happy set. That's when you get what you want. That's when you make your days. That's when the actors shine. If there is all this little bickering and all that stuff, who's the most important person in the room? Do you have any artist rules that you now, live your life by? Say that when you're going to be working on XYZ film, project, script, is there like similar, like you say, okay, 3 things have to happen in order for me to say yes? What would be those 3 things?
I think the main thing is the script. If the script starts out problematic, it just gets worse, because you can never if you're trying to fix something later on the set when you're spending all that money that should have been fixed 6 months ago, that costs nothing to fix, then I realized very, very quickly, when you're making a movie, if it's not on the page, it's very hard.
Yeah, and I think it's also debunking all the myths. I think many people who are starting out, they have this specific ideas about the success or lack of the film or TV show. I think you have to just surrender and just know that you're going to put out the best work that you can in the moment, because you could have done a film that you think is absolutely amazing and people hate it.
Yep.
Or vice versa. You might think, oh, this is probably one of the crappiest films I've done. And I said, yes, it's never going to happen. Then everybody loves it.
Yep.
Or maybe they love it later, just like it happened with the Lizzie McGuire, where it stays. And then 20 years later, you still have a fan base.
That's why I look for that in any script. It has to make me laugh or cry or be moved in some way. And if it doesn't, it needs to be developed in that direction, I think.
I think the choices have to be made, not because of what we feel we are almost obligated to do because of the
Right.
changing times. They go, well, we got to put this type of cast because that's
Right.
what we need to do. We
Right.
need to do what is right for the film, no matter
Right.
what. It's a little bit like the pandemic and the war between the vax and unvax. It doesn't really matter, people, whether you're vax or unvax, just be careful. And we're all in this together. And it's all about protecting ourselves and protecting everybody, in the room. And we're not going to do things, well, are you this? And if you're this, we're going to be this. And if you're that, you're going to be that. It's not about that type of messaging that can be taken advantage of by the media and by politicians. And don't get me going.
Yeah.
I don't want this to happen for a beautiful Hollywood, because I think Hollywood is still a leader in the changing of consciousness of the planet.